A food delivery person arrived at the address provided in the app, but when he got there, he found that the house was completely empty. There were no cars in the driveway, no lights on, and no signs of life inside. The delivery person tried calling the buyer, but the number went straight to voicemail. Just as he was about to leave and mark the order as undeliverable, the phone rang. It was the buyer, and he instructed the delivery person to come inside and go to the second floor. The delivery person was hesitant at first, but he didn't want to lose his job or risk getting a bad review, so he reluctantly agreed to the buyer's demands. The delivery person entered the house and made his way to the second floor. It was dark, and he couldn't see a thing. He cautiously climbed the stairs, feeling his way along the walls. When he finally reached the second floor, he called out the buyer's name, but there was no response. The house was eerily quiet, and the delivery person was starting to feel uneasy. Just as he was about to leave, a door in the ceiling suddenly creaked open, and a bony hand reached out. The delivery person was paralyzed with fear, not knowing what to do. But then he heard a voice coming from above. It was the buyer, apologizing for the scare and explaining that he lived in the attic of the house. With a trembling hand, the delivery person handed the bag of food to the bony hand and hurriedly made his way out of the house, still shaking from the unsettling experience. The delivery person knew that this would be a delivery he would never forget. A girl had many siblings, and as the youngest, she was the last to choose her room when the family moved into their new home. All her older brothers and sisters had already picked rooms downstairs, leaving only the attic unclaimed. With no other options, the girl had no choice but to take the attic as her own. The attic was unbearably hot during the day and freezing cold at night, unlike the other rooms downstairs, which were always a comfortable temperature. One day, while exploring the back of the attic, the girl stumbled upon an old portable air conditioner. To her surprise, it still worked perfectly, serving as both an air conditioner and a heater. She used it to cool down during the day and warm up at night. With the room now much more comfortable, she began to enjoy her attic space. One day, one of the girl's siblings complained that he had been having the same nightmare for the past 5 nights, and there was an eerie sound in the dream. All the other siblings were surprised and said they had been having the same nightmare too. They asked the girl if she had experienced it, but she replied that she slept soundly at night. On another day, one of the girl's older brothers snuck into the attic to steal his sister's pen while she was out. Suddenly, the attic door slammed shut, and the older brother tried to open it, but it wouldn't budge. He was trapped in the attic for 2 hours, yelling and crying for help, but no one heard him. 2 hours later, the girl returned home and easily opened the door, catching her brother in the act. Although she was unhappy with him, she forgave her brother for his misdeeds since he had been punished by being locked in the room for 2 hours. Another day, one of the older sisters of the girl said she had a nightmare. In the nightmare, an air conditioner intentionally made eerie noises to scare her. The siblings began to think that there was something sinister with the air conditioner in the attic. They urged their parents to get rid of the air conditioner, and finally, the parents agreed and disposed of it. The girl was saddened by the loss of her beloved air conditioner. One strange thing was that, from that day on, the girl's room was always at a comfortable temperature, neither too warm nor too cold. However, the other rooms downstairs became hot during the daytime and cold at nighttime. It was as if the temperature changes had shifted from the girl's attic room to the other rooms in the house. In the end, the family couldn't explain the strange phenomenon that had occurred in their home. The girl's attic room had become the most comfortable room in the house, surpassing even her parents' master bedroom. The girl couldn't help but feel nostalgic for her old portable air conditioner, believing that the old machine had played a role in making her room the oasis it had become. Once upon a time, there was an old warehouse located in the heart of the city. The warehouse was known for its eerie atmosphere, as it had a large attic filled with countless mannequins. These mannequins were once used by various businesses and stores as display models, but over time, they were all stored away in the attic, forgotten and abandoned. Many people had claimed to hear strange noises coming from the attic, sounds of footsteps and shuffling. Some even reported seeing the mannequins move on their own, their lifeless eyes following them around the room. But nobody had ever dared to venture up to the attic to investigate, too afraid of what they might find. One night, a curious young man named Xavier decided to explore the attic, determined to uncover the source of the mysterious sounds. Armed with only a flashlight, he climbed up the creaky old stairs and pushed open the attic door. At first, everything seemed normal. The mannequin stood still and silent, just as he had expected. But as he shone his flashlight around the room, he noticed something strange. The mannequins seemed to be arranged in a way that he had never seen before, almost as if they were posed in a lifelike manner. Suddenly, Xavier heard a faint whisper coming from the shadows. "Leave this place," it said. "You don't belong here." Xavier shone his flashlight towards the source of the sound, and to his horror, he saw a mannequin move. Its arm lifted slowly, pointing towards the door. Then, one by one, the other mannequins started to move as well, their stiff limbs creaking as they came to life. Xavier tried to run, but he was surrounded by the mannequins, their lifeless eyes staring at him. He felt their cold hands on his skin, pulling him back towards the center of the room. As he screamed for help, the mannequins started to whisper in unison, their voices echoing through the empty warehouse. "You're one of us now," they said. "Forever and ever." Xavier was never seen again, and the attic of the warehouse remained a forbidden place, haunted by the restless spirits of the mannequins. To this day, people still hear the sounds of footsteps and shuffling coming from the attic, a reminder of the horror that lurks within. It was a dark and stormy night, and Jenna was alone in her old house. She had always been a bit uneasy about the attic, but tonight, it seemed particularly ominous. She had been hearing strange noises coming from up there all day, and the creaking of the old wooden floorboards seemed louder than usual. As she walked up the stairs to investigate, Jenna couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. She pushed open the heavy door to the attic and stepped inside. The only light came from the dim glow of her flashlight, casting eerie shadows across the dusty furniture. In the corner of the room, she saw an old desk. It was covered in cobwebs and had clearly been untouched for years. But as Jenna approached it, she heard a faint scratching sound coming from inside one of the drawers. She hesitated for a moment, but curiosity got the best of her, and she slowly pulled open the drawer. Inside, she found an old diary, its pages yellowed with age. As she flipped through it, Jenna realized with a growing sense of horror that the previous owner of the house had been driven to madness by the strange occurrences in the attic. The diary was filled with tales of ghostly apparitions, unexplained noises, and even physical attacks. As Jenna continued to read, she suddenly heard a loud thumping sound coming from the other side of the room. She spun around, flashlight in hand, and saw a figure emerging from the shadows. It was a gaunt, skeletal figure, its eyes glowing with a malevolent light. Jenna screamed and ran for the door, but she could feel the figure's cold breath on her neck. She stumbled down the stairs, heart racing, and burst out into the stormy night. She never returned to the attic again, but she could always feel a cold, haunting presence lingering in the house, especially when she thought of that old desk in the corner. Once upon a time, there was a boy named Attic. Attic had always been an outsider, and it was all because of his name. His classmates would taunt him, saying things like, "Why are you called Attic? Did your mother give birth to you in a dusty old attic?" Attic didn't like the attention, and it made him feel isolated and alone. Attic became a cynical person. He didn't trust people easily and kept to himself. But one day, something strange happened. The classmates who bullied Attic started to disappear, one by one. It started with the ringleader of the group, a boy named Tim, who vanished without a trace. At first, no one thought much of it. The townspeople believed the mischievous boy had simply run away. However, as more of Attic's bullies began to disappear, there was no sign of struggle or any indication of where they had gone. As the disappearances continued, Attic couldn't help but feel uneasy. He had always been the outsider, the one who was picked on. But now, he found himself in a new and unsettling position, as the one who might know more than he was letting on. Attic tried to keep to himself, but it was getting harder and harder. The town was growing restless, and rumors were spreading like wildfire. Some people whispered that Attic might be responsible for the disappearances. Others said it was a curse on the town, a punishment for past wrongs. Attic knew he had to find out what was happening. He started to investigate, asking questions and digging into the past. And slowly, he began to uncover a dark and terrifying secret, one that had been hidden in the town's history for generations. Attic's investigation led him to a crumbling old mansion on the outskirts of town. The place had always been shrouded in mystery, but now Attic knew why. The mansion was home to a cult, a group of people who had been performing dark rituals for centuries. As Attic made his way through the mansion's twisted halls, he could hear the chanting and the screams. He knew he was getting closer to the heart of the cult's power, and he braced himself for what he might find. When he finally reached the inner sanctum, Attic was horrified by what he saw. The cult members were performing a ritual, using the bodies of Attic's bullies as sacrifices. They were trying to summon a dark and ancient entity, one that would give them power beyond their wildest dreams. Suddenly, Attic was overcome by a sensation of intense heat, as if something inside him was about to explode. He felt a powerful force moving through his body, compelling him to open his mouth and expel a thick, dark smoke that billowed out quickly. The intensity of the experience caused his eyes to burn with fire, as he realized that the dark and ancient entity that the cult had been trying to summon was actually inside him. As the smoke cleared, a dark figure appeared, and it fixed its eyes on Attic. The figure blew a thick, dark smoke into Attic's face, causing him to lose consciousness. 2 days later, when Attic woke up, he discovered that all the people in the town had disappeared without a trace. Attic decided to set out on an adventure to find the cult members and the missing townspeople. He was determined to uncover the dark secrets of the cult and the entity they had summoned, hoping to find answers to what had happened to his bullies and the entire town.